Bender.
And I'm here with Sydney, and this is BS Astrology.
What's up, y'all? We are now in episode 11. We are talking about March 17th through March 23rd. Just to kind of go over some of the highlights for the week, we need to remind everybody that we are just 3-4 days after the eclipse. And so I think in a lot of ways we're watching pieces fall and kind of fall into place. I think that there's still a lot of movement that doesn't necessarily feel comfortable or great. So we're still in eclipse season. The next eclipse being, I think it's like the 29th, right? The 29th of March. I should have written that down. For this week, we're going from the moon in Scorpio. Hooray!
Yeah, so just to like pile on to that discomfort, we're starting off with moon in Scorpio.
With a very cranky moon.
Yep.
So moon goes from Scorpio to Capricorn. Venus is still retrograde.
More cranky.
Yeah. Mercury is now retrograde.
Still more cranky.
More cranky. In Aries. These are both in Aries currently. And then Mars is still out of bounds.
More cranky.
Fantastic.
Mars in Cancer out of bounds.
Yeah.
So, yep.
We're at the very end of the sun being in Pisces, so it's in that very last decan, so it's where it kind of goes to die.
Yep.
It's like literally the culmination. I know that sounds so bleak. But then we will go into Aries season, which begins March 20th.
Hooray. A new cycle, right?
Yeah, new
Aries,
beginnings.
Rebirth, springtime.
Spring equinox. So that's something that I kind of look forward to. And then forming all week, but will not perfect this week, but still something to keep in the back of our cute little noggins is Saturn in Pisces is forming a sextile with Uranus and Taurus. So something about, kind of trying to solidify our dreams and put them into focus, like these new ideas, and like innovate things and set them into some sort of new reality. We like the sextile. It's just that this week is going to be weaking.
Yeah, it's going to be a week. And yeah, it's not, that sextile is not going to be perfecting yet. So we're not going to feel the full oomph of it. Especially because sextiles are a little more gentle.
Yeah.
But with that said, I do like this sextile.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice one.
There's something about, like, if we are trying to kind of set these new dreams into some sort of like terra firma, then we need to make the effort. Right. And a lot of the aspects that we're having this week, as this aspect is forming, is about adjusting and moving and shifting and working with. And so we have to make the conscious intention, right? Yeah. To try to be creating a new reality for us.
Yeah, and discomfort is the name of the game. I called it like playing dodgeball. There's going to be a lot of minor aspects with the moon this week that we will kind of briefly touch on, but the overall picture is like kind of playing dodgeball and kind of having to just like constantly readjust your position as those pieces are falling or as the dodgeball is flying toward your face.
Eclipse season, it's liminal. Shit is weird.
Yep.
So
it's a time where things just happen to you.
And it's already happening, right? Okay, so let's begin. We'll begin with Monday, March 17th.
Yep. And just as the day is starting at 12:30 a.m. just about, moon's going to enter Scorpio. That's moon in its fall. It's cranky there. I think cranky is the best term for it, especially with what Moon in Scorpio is going to be doing over the next couple days.
It's answering to that Mars out of bounds in Cancer as well. And so there's nothing but like these very like intense, deep, protective, kind of obsessive, angry.
Obsessive, like can't let it go.
Yeah, needling, kind of salty. Like it just isn't. Moon in Scorpio has to deal with a lot of like internal anger, and there's
power struggle.
And passion. It's a very passionate moon, and there's really a call to eliminate old habits that no longer serve a moon in Scorpio. But moon in Scorpio is fixed. It doesn't want to let go. It says no.
It would rather just ruminate on that shit that it's obsessing over and over again until it dies.
Yeah. So we can find, I think, when the moon being in this sign for the next few days, really until Wednesday, that we are going to be dealing with a lot of like very deep, passionate, intense emotions that will continually kind of be, like you said, playing dodgeball with these other planets. Like gonna throw something and it's like, I feel really intensely about that, and then something else happens, you're like, oh,
but I also feel intensely about that. So and just to reinforce the story that we're kind of laying out for you with Moon in Scorpio, literally the first aspect that it's going to make, again, morning of the 17th, it's going to be, it's just after 7 a.m. So it's going to be as we're waking up. Yeah. Square to Pluto. You just had to jump right into it.
Square to Pluto.
There's a Moon in Scorpio square to Pluto, which again is just like digging shit up.
And it's like emotional outbursts that are deeply uncomfortable. Pluto is in a Aquarius, like thinking, communicating, external sign, and Moon in Scorpio is internal, and this does not feel great because they do not see eye to eye, and they both see it their own way.
And again, when we're talking about fixed squares, this is a fixed square, right?
Don't want to change.
Like dig the heels in, refuse to see the other side of things. Like, this is where I am, this is how I feel about it. So any fixed square is going to have that little extra oomph of like resisting the lesson or resisting the change, but particularly with Moon in Scorpio squaring with Aquarius.
So it's just, we're in the cranky zone. And then we have later on in the morning, we will get a biquintile to Neptune and Pisces. And so I think that there's some sort of like understanding the depth of the vision that we are trying to like get into or to make happen.
Some like creative synthesis maybe that can happen there for sure.
It's like a spiritual deeply feeling by quintile, so like that's pleasant. The dreams come alive.
It's maybe it'll be like a little bit of salve for the wound of how the Monday started,
or it could be intensely sad.
Could be that,
because we got Pisces can be a sad gal or a delulu gal. So like,
or it could be. Well, I like to, like with the biquintile, I always think of things happening a little like creatively. So maybe it'll be like a welcome sadness. Like you dealt with that square to Pluto, and you just had these like intense feelings come up that like enraged you or something. And then that biquintile comes in and you're like, but actually what's happening underneath there is I'm sad. And there can be a nice realization that comes there.
And also maybe like a release, because Neptune can be about like kind of dissolving. So like there's some sort of release of like these really intense passions that we're feeling.
Purging release.
Yeah, let's hope so. But if we move on to the quincunx in the Moon in Scorpio, quincunx, the retrograde Venus in Aries, they're in this thing called engirdlement. So they're both ruled by Mars. They both are dealing with these like there's the quincunx, which is uncomfy adjustments, but they're both feeling this like need to be protective, and they have the same thing that they kind of want to do, but they're not quite connecting in how to do it together.
They don't want to do it in the same way. And that's pretty much what will happen when you have two signs ruled by the same planet.
And they're both stabby signs. It's like cut. Like I want to get rid of this, and like Venus is Aries, like I want to end this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Moon in Scorpio is like I want to eliminate this. Venus Aries like cut it out. Yeah. But like they have different ways of wanting to do it. Like maybe the Moon in Scorpio wants to like kind of go around the corner and just like cut the ankle. Yeah. Like
the way I kind of think of it is like when I think of Scorpio, I think of like Dexter, like wanting to like make a ritual out of like removing the internal organs or something and being like, I'm getting rid of this, but here's why, and I'm gonna write a poem about it.
Right.
And Aries is just like, nah, just kill that.
Just
bitch.
kill it, yeah.
Like that's how I like to think of it.
It's like the surgeon versus the hammer.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing. Yep. And they both have the same thing. They're trying to destroy something. To get rid of something, they just have different methods.
Right. And we're talking about like the two big like feelings planets having this interaction, right? We've got the Moon and we've got Venus.
Yeah.
So Yeah, there's kind of a discomfort and maybe like an inability. It's kind of like a discomfort that you kind of have to accept that, you know, maybe you want to do things one way, but it's just going to happen in another way.
And there could be like just like a laser like focus on the thing that you're trying to cut away to. Like I just kind of think about like Venus and Aries being retrograde. There's a constant like going over and reevaluating these things in your relationships, and like Moon in Scorpio wants to be enmeshed, and like these two things aren't really quite gelling. And so I just think that there's a culling here. I think there's a call to cut. And what method is chosen might be chosen for you.
And again, like always thinking in the macro versus micro. In the macro, this is definitely reinforcing a story that we've been seeing where they're just like slashing whole pieces of the government. And and again, like with this Moon in Scorpio, like you said, there's this sense of purging. So I think we'll definitely this week, especially since we're going to be like hot off the heels of the eclipse, looking at the bigger picture of what's going on in the world, you know, what's being just like cut away.
What's being gutted.
Yeah. Because we're already starting to, like, we're already seeing that, right? Even as we're speaking now, we're in eclipse season. So we're seeing the effects of what's happening when these things are gutted away. And then again, on the more micro level, as always, make sure you're paying attention to what's happening with Venus. Like where is Venus and Aries moving, retrograding through your chart right now? How does Moon in Scorpio affect you? Where does that happen in your chart? So keep those things in mind when you're thinking about what are you gutting? What fish are you slicing open and gutting?
The big aspect for this day is the Sun conjunct the North Node in Pisces. And so there is a highlight on the way forward and where we're being pushed to. And so I'm interested to kind of see what gets literally highlighted, the Sun just like illuminating like, hey, this is the way that we're going. It may not be a way that we all want to go. Like this illumination doesn't necessarily have to be an agreed upon destination. And I think
it's just a realization.
It's just a realization of like what's going on. And
particularly with this mutable sign Pisces, right? It's just kind of like, oh, I guess we're getting carried this way.
All of the visions this way.
Exactly.
And you're like, okay.
Alrighty.
And there's an instability with the Sun meeting the North Node. The North Node can make things unstable, and we already know that because we had that eclipse that there's still something there finishing up here with the Sun coming to the North Node when the nodes are what makes the eclipse actually happen.
And that's going to happen right in the middle of the day if you're on West Coast. It's 1:13. So it's going to be a little later in the afternoon if you're East Coast. But that's going to be, you know, it is happening basically in the middle of that Monday. So that's going to be a big oomph on that day. And then like the rest of the afternoon into the evening is more of the moon doing a lot of minor aspects.
I just think that it's kind of trash personally.
Like, just more dodging, just more like, you know, trying to not get hit by the falling boulders.
Well, it's like Moon in Scorpio, Sescu square, Saturn in Pisces. Like it's like hitting a wall, but like literally hitting the Saturnian wall with like its head and like can't move forward. And it's feeling frustrated. Like I feel this way. I want to do this thing. And Saturn Pisces is like,
it's very much that, like, you know, the insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over again. It's very much going to feel like that, or like you're a wind-up toy that just hit a wall.
There's just frustration. So like if you find yourself feeling very frustrated later in the afternoon into the evening, like just know. And then the amplification of feelings just with the Moon in Scorpio quintile Jupiter, there's some sort of
quintile's a little better, but it's not major enough to kind of overpower all the other crap that's going on. But it, you know, it can be nice. it's gonna amplify what's going on.
And then in the evening, we have Moon in Scorpio, quincunx Mercury in Aries. This is argument. This is venom tongue. I think venom tongue's a good way to put it, because with the quincunx, it's like you're not necessarily arguing to get to the bottom of it. You're just out for blood. And you're also just, you know, Mercury and Aries, we have to remember, just literally shooting words out without even thinking about what's going on. Moon in Scorpio is so deeply feeling. So this can be like, I am feeling this thing and it is just coming out without even going like, hey, should I have even said that?
And with Moon in Scorpio, I think you'll particularly want to be careful, especially depending on where the moon is hitting your chart here. If you get into an argument, this is absolutely the kind of aspect where you will somehow have the ability to pull up the most vulnerable information about another person and use it against them.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's that kind of crap. And you can't unsay. There are some things that you can't unsay. So yeah, that's how that Monday's ending.
Yeah.
And then you get to go to bed and think about what you said.
I think in so many ways we kind of need to roll with the punches on Monday.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of cozy feelings. No. So if you
stay on your feet, be alert.
Yeah.
And just be ready to, it really is.
Like, bob and weave, man.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, you know? So.
Okay. So.
And that brings us to Tuesday, which is arguably worse.
Yeah. So we are now at Tuesday, March 18th. Moon is still in Scorpio. Moon will be in Scorpio this entire day. And we are more or less kind of with a barrage of quincunxes and sesqui-squares. We have a bit of some conversation with the Mercury and Aries, probably trying to finish up whatever happened before with the arguments. It's not giving fun.
No. I'm getting a sense of like emotional overwhelm here just because there's going to be so much emotional or just so much information coming at you. And with that moon in Scorpio, you're trying to like emotionally find the deeper meaning in all of it, but it's almost coming faster than you can dig.
Yeah.
Particularly with the way the day's going to end, but
yeah,
with that Saturn. But yeah, let's start from the top.
I mean, we can just kind of bullet these really quick. 12:51 a.m. We have the moon in Scorpio by quintil that retrograde Venus. So they're both answering to that Mars in Cancer, out of bounds, too many feelings, lots of feelings around protection, motherland, homeland, mothering, parenting.
Right. That's in the middle of the night. It's 12:51 a.m. So maybe do some dream journaling, pay attention to your dreams that night. And then again, at 1:21 a.m., there's a Sessi square to Sun in Pisces. So again, just some like frustration.
It's like depth versus Delulu.
Yeah, exactly. Depth versus Delulu, actually, like that.
Yeah. And then we go closer to 5 a.m. We have the moon in Scorpio, quincunx Jupiter. With the quincunx, there's still like potentially like going overboard.
Yep.
Like too far in the ways that we are emotionally processing things and how passionately and deeply we're feeling. Now there's like, oh, this is one step too far.
I almost like that's something that can be felt so immediately too, right? Like you go there and you're just like, oh, I just went there.
I shouldn't have touched that, especially with how many like Scorpio is, it's complexity. And Gemini, Jupiter and Gemini being in detriment, is a multitude of ideas. And so there's complexity.
But doesn't want to go deep with the ideas, right?
No,
it just wants to skim the surface.
But like these two things, there's still this idea of a lot. Like of the word literally much to do.
Yeah, much to do.
So I just think that, I think that that's potentially one of the crankiest things in
and
here.
And this is all before you might even wake up. So
yeah, so it's almost like you're kind of doing some fighting in your sleep. You wake up with a little bit too much on your mind.
Yep.
And
maybe
then,
you didn't sleep very well. Might be a restless night.
Yeah. And then we have again a moon in Scorpio now is by quintile that retrograde Mercury in Aries. So maybe there's some sort of way that we understood about the argument that we had the night before that is now kind of all of a sudden you get this like hit of like, okay, that's what it's really about.
Right. Exactly.
Could be.
Or just coming back around, whatever you said, you're going to, bring it back to the partner, talk to them or whoever you were arguing with. Yeah. So
4:16 p.m. This is kind of the I think it's the anchor, hopefully, is that
everything we just talked about all happens before 8 a.m. that day.
Yeah, it's just like,
so,
like, just
so just like for what'll personally, like, you're going to carry these in from the night's sleep that you had.
Yeah, it's the energy of frustration, of adjustment.
And so that's going to carry us into
Moon in Scorpio, trine Mars in Cancer. This is probably the highlight brief transit of the day that maybe can anchor us into like a full I don't know, like feeling and understanding it. We're able to kind of get something done here.
Yeah, emotional clarity.
Yeah.
Right? So even though there is like a lot going on around it, and there is a lot going on. I mean, the day's trash. Let's not mince words here. But I think that trine, I think that the way you said it is good. It's an anchor where there's going to be just like a lot happening around you, but there will be an opportunity to kind of stay centered in yourself and almost like protect your feelings a little bit or protect your emotional state.
I mean, it's very, I mean, both of these are kind of yin, internalizing.
Yeah.
You know, there's reception between them. So hopefully, you know, Moon will be behaving, our emotional clarity will be feeling a little bit better, easier, and Mars will be a little bit more full of like actual direction and purpose.
Yeah. This could actually be like a nice moment to shine for Mars in Cancer that otherwise doesn't love to function. But like Scorpio Moon comes in and is fucking shit up. Mars in Cancer is like, now's my moment.
Yeah. I mean, and it's also very possible that because during this period of time where the Moon is in Scorpio, that Mars might be behaving just a little bit better, but we still have to remember that Mars is out of bounds. So he's hyphy no matter what. And Mars wants to be in Scorpio so desperately.
So badly.
And it's like, get me out of Cancer.
Yeah.
So I think there might be a little bit of reprieve in terms of like how Mars is behaving, but probably not very much, and especially because we're still dealing with all of these aspects that are so cranky. Yeah. It's just cranky. Okay, so in the evening, Moon in Scorpio, sesqui square, that's a square and a half to that retrograde Venus in Aries. Again,
so just so many conversations happening between Moon and Venus just at the beginning of this week.
And they're both like in their detriment.
They're both like
they're just like not doing wonderful. Either one
like
of
trauma
them
bonding together.
Yeah, they're like, are you having a hard time? I'm having a hard time. Do you want to go fuck shit up? And they're like, yeah,
let's go do Mars shit.
Yeah. And then we have a ouchie aspect, which could be like an actual injury aspect, which is the Moon in Scorpio, quincunx Chiron in Aries at 8:05 p.m. So that could be a health aspect.
Could be health. Like you said, it could be an injury, especially because we were talking about two Mars signs here.
This can, and also the Moon being the body and Aries being the head. There could be something here, like sudden head injuries. There could
wear a helmet,
right? A sudden cut to the forehead or something like that. But also just emotionally, if we just go back to the Moon being like how we're emotionally feeling about things, he's really sensitive when he hits Chiron in this way.
Yeah.
Like it's just not. That's, I don't know.
Yeah. And Scorpio hates being made to feel vulnerable. And this could definitely poke at a vulnerable wound.
Yeah.
But again, fortunately, it's a short aspect. It's a minor aspect.
Yeah. And for all intents and purposes, if you needed to kind of think about like the ending aspect of the day in order to like say, okay, well, I had to get all of these things done. Maybe you had to sign a document or you had to do anything. Today's ending aspect of Moon in Scorpio, trine Saturn in Pisces is a good closing aspect. It kind of wraps things up. So it's like nothing feels great. In the middle, there's an anchor. And then at the very end, there is a kind of like emotional resolve.
It's sobering, right? It's still Moon and Saturn together. We've talked about,
it's stabilizing. It can be.
Sobering and stabilizing, all of this stuff going on. And that's what the point I was making when we first started on this day is there's just so much crap going on today. There's so many minor aspects that there can be this sense of emotional overwhelm. And I think that with that trine to Saturn and Pisces, there's definitely this need to just kind of, like you said, just kind of wrap it all up and to kind of make sense of it. Right.
Yeah.
Which I think can be supportive just with all the crap that's going on throughout the day.
It could be.
Not like a good, like, oh, I'm glad that things happened that way, but definitely like okay, here's where we are. Here's how we're going to handle it.
Yeah, I definitely don't prefer this week. I'm hoping that it will go by pretty fast. I think with how much bobbing and weaving that we're all going to do, that it might feel pretty fast. And also remembering too, when the moon is in Scorpio, especially the beginning degrees of Scorpio into 15, we have the moon in the path of fire. So this is just not a great time anyways. Like this is, it's quote unquote like dangerous times for the moon to be in, unhealthy space. So yeah, fun times. Okay.
Yeah. I would say that this is definitely like, as far as like actual practical advice goes, I think you're right. I think like take care of yourself and be a little careful this week, don't be impulsive. There's going to be a lot of like Mars signs interacting with each other that might incline us to impulsivity, but just try not to.
Yeah. Well, because the moon doesn't even move out of the path of fire until midday on that Tuesday, the 18th. And so it's just kind of in danger,
it's rough.
For a hot minute. So, okay, let's wrap that one up.
Yeah. Let's go to Wednesday.
March 19th. Moon's still in Scorpio. I hate the moon in Scorpio. I got to tell you, like it.
You really do.
It really does.
I don't love it either, but you.
Because it opposes my entire Taurus stellium. And it's just so cranky. And then quincunx is my moon.
Yeah.
So no matter what, there's just nothing but like awareness of my discomfort. It's not fun.
I'm like in Moon and Scorpio, like the point I always like to make is that Moon and Scorpio is hardest for the person who has like for the native with Moon and Scorpio, right? It's just like it's hard.
Yeah. Hard. Whenever the moon
it's like
goes
never
into
getting
Scorpio,
to feel safe.
I always message my sister. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry for you.
I'm so sorry that you have to just like live in this
Dude,
space.
we both have sisters with Moon and Scorpio.
Yeah, it's a lot. Okay, so that's
Wednesday. So Moon and Scorpio, and we're starting off 1:30 in the morning. It's opposing Uranus and Taurus. So like right off the bat, we have a fixed opposition. Again, this is going to be during dreamy, sleepy time. So definitely, think about in terms of your quality of sleep here.
I just feel like it's an eruption of some sort.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Whenever I think of Scorpio being like literally the depths of everything, and like Taurus is like the earth, I'm like, I don't know, earthquake?
Earthquake middle of the night?
Some sort of.
I don't want to manifest that.
No, not at all. Not at all. But like, there's something about depth here, like being disrupted. And this could be just emotionally, for folks that go to bed super late night, all of a sudden you find yourself being at an emotional unrest. That's why.
Yep.
And shortly after that, the sesqui square to Mercury and Aries, also not great. 8:12 a.m., which is, when we are mostly the country, at least the U.S. is awake. It's 11 something on the East Coast, 8:12 a.m. We have the moon in Scorpio, biquintile Chiron and Aries. It's engirdled again, answering to that Mars in Cancer. And there's just, I don't know, something about healing here.
Yeah, I think that actually, because again, the night before on Tuesday, there's that quincunx with Chiron and Aries.
And now it's trying to finally like fix something.
Yeah, trying to like find the creative resolution in that, right? With that biquintile. So Moon and Scorpio, biquintile and Chiron and Aries. So it's another contact that we just had the night before with Chiron and Aries. Now it's a little bit more of a gentle aspect, and maybe we're trying to synthesize it in our minds or in our hearts.
And then we get maybe the sweetest part of the week, maybe. is that we have in the noon times, we have the moon in Scorpio, we'll trine the sun in Pisces.
Which is nice.
And then the moon in Scorpio will also trine Neptune in Pisces, which is also nice.
That's like, nice.
Intuitive, spiritual.
I really like feeling. I like Scorpio and Pisces together too, because I feel like Pisces just like wants to bring Scorpio in and be like, you're safe here, you know.
It kind of like can soften the blow of Scorpio.
If anyone can soften the blow,
it's going to be a Pisces. It's going to be a Pisces. It's going to be like, I understand why you feel like that.
Yeah.
Everything's hard.
Yeah. And Scorpio's like,
So like there's some sort of flowing aspect here where like we can also potentially get some stuff done in terms of like our creative purpose and what we're trying to like push forward.
Yeah, and that's going to be the nice thing with Moon and Scorpio, right? Because of that intensity, if there is something that you're trying to creatively process,
you're going to obsessively try to figure out how to do it.
Yep, Scorpio brings all the meat to the table, right? In terms of having like a good artistic project. This could be a good day to actually start, you know, working on a creative project
or thinking about it. Because the void, of course, will begin with that trine the sun.
Yep.
So like, you know, no big plans to start something new, but just
I'm thinking like painting
something of ease. Maybe work with some watercolors.
Yeah, exactly.
1:17 p.m. This is when the moon enters Sag, and I will be so happy.
Yep. Much lighter.
Yeah. Adventurous,
playful,
freedom loving,
curious. Yeah. Definitely like kind of like keep the wind on your back kind of thing with Sagittarius. We're moving into a mutable sign, so we're not going to have quite as much fixed energy where we just feel stuck in place. So yeah, it's not bad. I mean, we don't have. Well, I guess it's not that bad the rest of the day.
Yeah, I just kind of feel like the moon, like after the moon doing so much emotional processing, and then it's just like, oh, I'm done with that, and I need to like break free.
Yeah.
I need to go.
I need to burn some steam.
I just need to go off into the, you know, I have my truth now with me because Sag is very much like my own personal truth kind of sign.
Yeah.
So it's like I did all of this processing. I have my truth, and that's how I'm going forward in my way. So. But the mood should get lighter, and we do enjoy that. And then we have the Sun-Neptune conjunction that the very last time that they will conjoin in this sign. So like, again, there's something about waking up the vision.
Yeah. And we've been talking about that with, we definitely talked about it in previous episodes with Neptune and Pisces. The reason that this is the last time it's going to be happening is because Neptune and Pisces is in that very last degree, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's been so bloated and so pregnant, is kind of like the final chapter of whatever story these two are telling between each other. So that it actually is significant, right? As far as Neptune's story goes.
And also just like the Pisces story, like where is this happening in your chart? Where do you have Pisces? So for you have it in your 12th house,
my 12th house,
yeah. So that's like the ending sign.
It's like the ending of endings, right? I hope I don't die.
No,
no,
that's so bleak.
I know.
You're so dramatic sometimes.
My Mercury's in Leo, so I love the drama. But no, I actually do. Like I said, like we talked about before, I made like a huge lifestyle and just like life shift this year. And I think I did need to let go of a lot of subconscious crap just to even be able to make those moves. And even now I've made the moves, but that subconscious, like deeply internal crap, I'm still working through it as I'm trying to settle in here. And so I do think that that's kind of like what that story is going to tell for me is like what it's going to bring up some like deep subconscious shit, which is probably going to feel a little owie in the moment. But I think it's like a necessary purging, right?
Yeah.
I'm definitely letting go of like old, like karmic shit.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's what it is for me. And for you, it's going to be
it's in my relationship house.
Yep.
So definitely around how relationships have functioned for me, not just like romantic, but like also partnership. And, you know, I think about all of the lessons that I've been learning as, especially Neptune going over my descendant around like how I have either one, just kind of bought into other people's stuff, put people on pedestals, all sorts of really fun things around that. And so it'll be interesting to kind of see what gets highlighted. It's still very close to my descendant, actually, like within 5 degrees. So it's still pretty poignant and squaring my
and that's gonna
nodes.
be and it's like angular for you, right?
Yeah,
so very. This is gonna be kind of a big,
it could be
big story, big chapter,
and it could also be something having to do with my partner, right? Because it's happening in my 7th house. It could also possibly have nothing to do with me and actually just be something that has to do with like my partner, my business partner, my romantic partner, like that sort of thing.
It could be me.
Yeah, it could be me. It could be my podcast partner,
podcast buddy.
So, but pay attention to where that is in your chart. So then we have the moon in Sag sextile Pluto in Aquarius. Which
is nice.
It's pleasant.
It's pleasant.
The moon is invited to go deeper than it usually goes in Sag.
Yep.
And it's like, you know what? I can do that. And I can process this.
Yeah. And it's in like a friendly sign too, right? It's in Aquarius. So it's like, like we can go deeper and process it, but like not too deep.
Like it's not going to be painful. Like we're just
it's almost going to be like
talk about it.
If you have like one of those friends where you can talk about like really intense deep shit, but just kind of like in passing. I don't know if you have friends like that.
In a kind of a detached sort of way.
Yeah.
And maybe there's something too.
I think you and I are good at that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So just like, talking over coffee about like existential crises kind of thing. Kind of vibes. And then 10:30, the day ends with Moon in Sagittarius making a sesqui square to Mars in Cancer.
Not great. Hopefully just go to bed before that.
Just go to bed.
Go to bed before 10:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Because it's cranky. The moon is squaring in a half, like essentially.
Moon in Sagittarius again wants to explore and kind of step outside its comfort zone.
I want to be free.
Mars in Cancer hates that.
Mars in Cancer is like, I'm staying at home.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's definitely some frustrating energy kind of ruminating there. So okay.
But otherwise, I would say that Wednesday is not the worst.
She's not the worst.
I think that's one of our better days this week.
Yeah, better than Tuesday. Wednesday wins over Tuesday.
Yep.
So let's go forward to Thursday, March 20th.
Yep. And we've got 1:17 a.m. Pacific. So again, this is middle of the night. Moon in Sagittarius will be trining our retrograde Venus in Aries at 5 degrees.
It's a message of freedom.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Pay attention to your dreams here, because I think it could actually, it's a trine, right? Like even though Venus is retrograde, it might even be better that it's just something that comes to you in a dream.
Yeah.
Right? About freedom that you need or something that...
This is new frontiers, old frontiers.
Whatever you dream about, keep in mind that it's probably about something that you need for yourself. And it might be a new frontier of sorts.
These two signs really like to be on their own, exploring new frontiers. And so there's something, I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's a
fire,
a lone cowboy kind of vibe.
Fire trine. And then 2 a.m., thank goodness, we get the sun ingress into Aries. It's the spring equinox, and now the sun is exalted. He has his big britches on.
Yes.
Feels real good about life. He gets to shine as bright and be as special as he wants to be. Big sun in Aries.
And this is a time where we can finally start initiating things a little bit here, right?
And also just like sunlight.
Because again, like Aries ruling planet is still in Cancer and it's out of bounds right now.
Yeah. But there is going to be like feeling like we're pushing forward.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say, is that now that sun is in Aries, that might be like a little bit of a Martian nudge that we need.
Yeah.
I love Aries season. I
don't have any thoughts about it either way, except for...
Well, I'm an Aries rising. So,
yeah.
I definitely like wake the fuck up at that time of year. And I'm like... I'm also from New England, so I'm like used to like intense seasonal depression. So when Aries season comes, I'm like, I forgot how it felt to be alive.
It's the exaltation ruler of your first house.
Exactly.
So like it definitely...
Yeah, it's a good season for me. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Even
your
with all this
ruler
crap.
is happy.
Yeah, happy
for the most part, except for that Mars in Cancer. Sorry about that.
Yeah, whatever. it's just gonna be hard until summer.
So we have around 7:45 a.m. we have the moon in Sag trine the retrograde Mercury. So this is, messages of how we want to go forward. There's something future minded about this
For
and
sure.
Pioneering about this particular.
Yeah, again, we're talking about that Sag Aries interaction happening again. So
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it. It's a great time to again focus on yourself and focus on what your goals are, what your needs are. Particularly with that moon in Sag.
Yeah, and the moon in Sag is potentially going to be able to get some more things done, especially with the sun ingress into Aries as well. So we are able to kind of maybe check some things off of our list that we were trying to do.
I agree.
And then we have the moon in Sag by quintile Mars in Cancer. It's kind of an interesting by quintile because I'm like, what could they possibly have in common?
Yeah, what could they?
And I think it's just they're wanting to move forward in some sort of way. Not that Cancer wants to move forward, but it wants to move. It's cardinal.
Cancer wants to move forward, right? Like we all want to move forward in some way.
Yeah. In protecting itself.
Yeah, which Sag is like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like,
There's a momentum.
Let's do a little brainstorm real quick. What do Sag and Cancer have in common? They both.
One wants to protect freedom and one wants to protect home.
Yep, there's protective qualities of both of them. I think there can be sort of a like mentor, like older wisdom energy that comes from both of them. Cancer is definitely more like matriarchal or patriarchal.
And Sag is more like grandparent
or like mentor teacher.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So I think that there might be some like maybe they're both bringing some like elder wisdom.
It's a teachable moment.
A teachable moment. Yeah, I think that's a good one.
And then
it feels like a parent teacher meeting.
Oh, geez.
Right.
And then 5:09 p.m. This is the closing aspect for Thursday. We have the moon in Sag opposite Jupiter and Gemini. Be careful of going too far.
Yep.
Too much.
And too many ideas.
Well, and especially because like the moon in Sag isn't looking at the details.
Right.
It's just broad visioning. I'm going to go over there. And it doesn't matter what is happening in between A and D. It's just like I'm going to D.
Yep.
And Gemini is like A.1, A.2, A point, like all of these things, and they just can't see eye to eye.
Yeah. Moon and Sag is like,
yeah,
I'm already out of here, and Gemini's like, but wait, look at all these things.
There's a little bit of reception though, so like if you're very aware of like your propensity to go overboard in this moment, you could potentially like have the awareness to kind of rein it in a little bit, and then the ideas can just flow in really good ways. I was
going to say it's a really nice aspect for having a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
Just don't overwhelm yourself. Don't try to enact a bunch of ideas at once.
Yeah.
Right. And don't try not to get too bogged down in details. This is very much a like don't lose the forest for the trees, and maybe vice versa. Right. It could go both ways. Like don't.
Well, because the opposition has the potential for like one to win out over the other, and there's trying to find kind of the middle here.
And I would definitely say, as far as like one winning out over the other, what are those two signs doing in your chart? Which one might be a little more dignified in your chart? Yeah. And pay attention, because that might be the way that those oppositions between these two signs like to sway. So if you have like really prominent Sagittarius energy, that
you're probably going Sag.
You're going Sag, right?
Go Sag or go home.
Yeah. I would personally be very inclined to end up on the Jupiter and Gemini side of things and just get bogged down in the details. So definitely it would be good for me to take a step back on this day and say, okay, maybe I should just look at the bigger picture here.
It's also kind of like a party people aspect.
Oh yeah, Sag and Gemini. Oh my God. Yeah. If there's anybody that you want to show up at the club,
yeah,
it's
this is a life of the party kind of moment.
Yeah,
kind of having there. So like, not the worst closing aspect, all things considered.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, I mean,
especially with that biquintile right before it. I think
yeah,
Moon and Sag has some like fun meat to work with.
But he just doesn't have the greatest dignity, just like Jupiter and Gemini, because he's ruled by the Jupiter and Gemini, which is in its detriment. So it's like really not behaving as well as it probably could.
No.
Like
sometimes Sag doesn't care about that though.
Yeah, I've met a lot of Sages, and sometimes they really do not care about acting right.
No, they really don't.
They're just gonna act. So let's move forward. Let's go to Friday, March 21st.
Yep. Moon's still in Sag. And again, we have in the early morning when most of us are still sleeping, there's going to be some minor aspects. We're going to start at 1:40 a.m. with a semi-square to Pluto and Aquarius, followed by a quincunx to Mars and Cancer.
Yeah, they just don't feel good. These aren't feel good aspects. There's like an intensity and depth of emotion that we're not really potentially quite ready for, especially with the Moon and Sag.
Yep.
And then we do have some we have the trine to Chiron and Aries later in the day. So there is maybe a potential for some sort of healing here. Don't hate it. Fire trines are great. In wisdom, some sort of wisdom really kind of coming forward in this moment. Chiron being wise.
And again, we have these two signs that are big on independence and doing things our own way.
Yeah.
So it could definitely be
and Chiron is the teacher. And and
teach us stuff about ourselves.
Yeah. And Moon and Sag is in a teaching sign. So like there's, something here that we're being taught and we can kind of assimilate probably in a healthy way. And we like that. Yeah. But then we come up with the reality check.
Ugh.
I know. They're never fun. So we were just doing our cool thing. And then 10:23 a.m. we got the Moon and Sag square Saturn and Pisces. So feel good, wall of water.
We start feeling like things are going to be okay, and then you get
like you just want to be the arrow shooting off, and then like literally just like a tsunami wave comes up and the arrow just goes it's like pretty actually much. You can't go further than this.
You're just gonna have to table that. There's definitely like a reality check,
a call to be flexible in the moment too, because this is mutable.
Very mutable. Like the sense that I get is it feels very much like Saturn squaring Moon, right? Where it's like, Saturn and Pisces, we're talking about this like watery emotional sign, and Sag just kind of wants to like go for it. And Pisces is like, have you considered how this is going to emotionally impact you and those around you?
I think it's Gandalf who's like, you do not pass.
Yeah, exactly, right.
We're like, we're going to whatever. Like, we're going to go on our way. And it's like, you shall not pass is like what it feels like to me. So, and, Sag, when it has its bubble burst, can also go into like a bit of like nihilism a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah. Fire sign, the fire sign that is least likely to give a fuck is Sag.
Well, and also what is that that word when you it's like you only care about your truth, but like no one else's truth matters in this moment. And like Saturn and Pisces can be like about the ultimate like truth, but you're like, no, my truth is the only thing. There's something that could potentially feel very harsh here.
Yeah. And it's like, because Pisces is about like all of us. It's about the collective. It's about like kind of where we're all spiritually connected to each other.
Yeah.
And I think making that square is definitely like Sag wants to do its own thing, and Pisces is like, any choice you make has a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The Moon and Sag just does not want to take accountability for that.
Yeah, and so in that square, that energy is going to hold. And then we have the afternoon Moon and Sag, quincunx, Uranus, and Taurus, and this feels like like an emotional upset that just cannot be settled in any sort of a good kind of way.
No,
you have fire with Earth, Moon and Uranus. They only like each other when they're flowing aspects.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to be emotionally upset or put at unease.
No.
And like this is not good.
I'm almost getting like this sense that there could be a thing with, especially like under the gaze of this retrograde Venus. Anytime I'm seeing these negative aspects to Uranus and Taurus. I'm just like, ugh, money situations are just gonna suck.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah,
right?
especially because Jupiter can also be about money, and Sag is ruled by, so like this could be some sort of financial aspect.
Yeah,
kind of ruminating.
You just
behind.
like can't, especially with the quincunx. It's like you just can't quite make ends meet.
Yeah.
With something. Yeah, just like keep your purse strings tight.
Which is something that needs to be, we all need to be reminded of as Venus is retrograde and also in Aries. Like the retrograde, not great. In Aries, not great.
Super not great. Yeah.
So like these two debilitations upon Venus means that like money isn't behaving in the way that it needs to. And we already know this with the stock market.
Yep.
I have like a handful of friends right now that are definitely struggling financially.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely
a lot of people getting laid off. Yeah. Right.
There's also just like the feeling of like, oh, should I have invested in that? Like, am I going to be okay?
Yeah.
Like, try not to make big investments during this time.
No.
It's also kind of interesting that we're having like all of the boycotts are happening kind of right now too, which is like messing with the markets in general.
All the boycotts are happening. All the tariffs are going into place. So we're definitely seeing those things kind of clench down on us.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think that particularly with Venus and Aries, it could be a thing of, this might not be a good time to invest in other people. This might be a time where you have to kind of prioritize yourself financially. Just work on keeping yourself afloat. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of the thing that came to mind with that quincunx.
The big aspect of the day happens in the afternoon. That 2:30 p.m. we have the retrograde Venus sextile Pluto.
Yep.
Pluto in Aquarius at 3 degrees 22. It's around that degree where Pluto is going to go retrograde. So there's some sort of story here that will happen again.
Yep.
But you know, Venus is being kind of called to maybe potentially really make the changes that she's been trying to make in this moment. This could be an elimination point.
Yeah. And with the sextile, it's a little more gentle, right? So it could be just like a gentle realization.
Or an obsession with going your own way as well.
Yep.
To the detriment of everybody else.
Yeah.
Not yourself,
this
though.
Is definitely like a very like selfish
can be,
thing going on right now. But again, where Pluto is in Aquarius, so the sense of the collective is still playing in here. But yeah, that's kind of the biggie of Friday.
Well, Moon and Sag square Neptune and Pisces.
And then,
Delulu.
Yep. It's the end of the day. It's 11:30 p.m.
Emotional confusion.
Yeah.
What was I doing all of this for to begin with?
Yeah. Yep.
What is the meaning of all of this?
Especially
with Sag and Pisces.
I think mutable squares are so funny because it really is just like, what's going on? I just feel like floating in the ether.
What is the meaning? Where am I? Where do I begin here?
Right.
And that's what, I don't know. That's what the
really just like
floating
in the void.
Yeah.
Moon and Sag wants to adventure somewhere.
And Neptune and Pisces is like, let's go into the void.
Yeah. There are no walls here. There are no street signs. There are no lights.
Yeah. And this is also a third quarter square. So like there's some sort of crisis here. Emotional confusion that is resulting in some sort of crisis that is like pushing us forward in some sort of way. We need to wrap this up.
Yeah. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like find the light. Jesus. Yeah. And that's how Friday's ending. I still don't think it's the worst of this week, this Friday, but it's not great.
It's not great. Thursday was better.
Yep, Thursday was better.
So
let's go into the weekend.
Saturday, March 22nd. Now we have early in the morning while we're asleep, Moon ingress into Capricorn. There's a sobering.
And more crankiness, honestly.
Well, the Moon is now like, okay, I was told I needed to wrap it up. I'm now in Capricorn, and that is what I am here to do.
Yep.
Is I need to get real serious, boss babe vibes about this, and really like, put this on my checklist of things to do and get really serious.
Yep.
and get it done. Get her done.
Yeah, get her done.
This is in
time to get her done.
In the sign of the accountant.
Yeah.
In the like I am accounting for all of
the
these
accountant,
things.
The authoritarian.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, no, we're going to get shit done and I'm going to tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
It's not the most comfortable in Capricorn. Let's be real. And that's why it's this period of time for the moon when it goes from Scorpio to Sag to Capricorn is not my favorite in general. Even in Sag, it does okay in Sag, but it's not my favorite. I think
Sag is kind of the best we're going to get because once the moon goes into Capricorn, now we have all of the squares to all of the stuff in Aries.
Yep.
Right?
And it's cardinal squares.
Cardinal squares. You got to get something done. I need to push forward.
And you don't get to put it off. It's going to be right there for you to deal with.
Yeah, it's right in front of your face.
Yeah.
4:29 a.m. moon in Capricorn square sun in Aries. Like I'm trying to push forward. This is the third quarter square of the moon. So it really has this crisis.
Yep.
I need to finish this up.
Gotta fix it. Yeah.
And we're in the middle of eclipse season. What are we finishing up? Do we even know what we're finishing up?
As of today, as we're recording this, no. We don't know. But again, that's why it's helpful to look at what parts of your chart are being hit by these signs. Definitely pay attention to where the moon is hitting. Where is Capricorn in your chart?
Moon wants to take care of business.
It's here to take care of business.
Sun in Aries?
Yeah.
Doesn't care about business.
No.
Sun in
Aries just likes to like have the bright idea and then move on to something else.
I want to go do what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Two different directions altogether.
A little distracted.
Yeah.
Sun in Aries is a little distracted. Capricorn is there like trying to fix whatever Aries.
Wrap this up like, before the next eclipse.
Yeah. Aries, you don't get to move on until we finish what we started.
This is in a week, the next eclipse.
And again, what you just said, like with Moon and Capricorn, it's going to be squaring all of those Aries things. And that's going to be the general energy is Aries is just going to like drop this bomb and it's going to be like, okay, moving on to the next thing. And Capricorn's like, you can't do that. Like you have to finish it.
Third quarter squares between each one of these things. So this third quarter square with the sun in Aries, and then the third quarter square with the Venus in Aries, and then the square with Mercury in Aries. It is an active day, and it feels probably like a crisis of thought, a crisis of values, and a crisis of being. All in one day.
All in one day.
I don't particularly care for Saturday. We do have, finally, we get to the middle of the retrograde cycle for Venus. Sun conjunct retrograde Venus. I think that's the middle of the cycle. Yeah, when it hits. I'm like, my brain.
It's okay. It's okay.
Thanks.
So it definitely could be like the climax point with whatever retrograde Venus.
What the story is.
What the story is, right? So again, like keep your purse strings tight. Pay attention to what's going on in your relationships. Because again, this is very selfish.
And also, because of that conjunction, this is a Cazimi point. So it's like, out of all of the spots that Venus, this retrograde Venus who's not in good condition could be, this is probably the best place in the whole cycle for her to be. And she just kind of looks up into the sun's like, cleanse me of all of this bullshit.
Yep.
And then goes, I know exactly what I need right now.
Yeah.
And then can kind of but I need to go back a little further, pick up some old stuff. Clean up some old karma, some old stories here. And then we'll go forward. But like there is a clarification.
There's clarity
around our Venus story, around our values, around our money, around all of these things. But still, don't make any big purchases. Like
no. It's more again, you're just like there to witness it, honestly. Is like just let the clarity come to you. It probably won't be comfortable just because Venus is in it's such a crappy place for Venus. I can't stress enough that this is so crappy for Venus.
Whenever I think about planets being like conjunct with the sun, I always think about like the sun having this like tube of light over the planet, and the planet's just like,
so you're thinking about That's making me think of like being abducted by an alien.
Kind of.
Right? Just like zoom.
Well, it's like, yeah, and all of a sudden, like, the reality changes because the sun is kind of burned away all of the stuff that it's collected in its journey. And then it's like, okay, cool. I know what I need to do. And then it goes about its way again. And like, Venus is going to come again and conjunct it again on the other side, I think.
Yep. It is.
But not for a bit. But like, this is a kind of a key moment in our Venus story that we need to
and you
pay
can
attention
look
to.
And keep in mind what's happening that day, because when it does make that conjunction again later, you'll, whatever story or whatever information you got from today, you're going to get later. So, or it's going to be continued later. You're going to be able to synthesize it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Later.
I should have looked at when it's going to conjunct again, but I was a bad astrologer.
That's okay. So it's not going to be that sun conjunct Venus. It is going to be a gift, I think. It's going to bring you clarity. It's not going to be a pleasant gift in the moment, but it is going to help you move forward with what this Venus retrograde cycle has been telling you. Yeah. So again, where is Aries in your chart? Where is Venus retrograding right now? And how have your relationships been? Just think in general. How have my relationships been? How have my finances been? And then when this Saturday comes, you're going to get some clarity on why things have been this way. Right? It's definitely going to be like the why moment. Yeah. So yeah, that's the big thing with Saturday. Yeah. As a person who just likes to know, I did get a little serotonin bump in my brain about this. I was like, oh, well, at least on Saturday we'll just know. Right?
Know something about the Venus story.
We'll know something about the Venus story.
I don't know about that, but okay.
That's going like right over my ascendant and stuff.
Which is good. Which is great. And like, I hope that whatever clarity that you need around the ways...
You're like, that's great. It sucks.
No, but like I having that Kazemi around your ascendant is great. There's a clarity of self and identity and like how you want to continue to go forward. And
we were talking about that Sun and Neptune Pisces conjunction earlier.
Old stuff, new stuff.
Yeah, it really does feel like I'm like going through the birth canal right now.
You're a brand new babe.
I'm a new baby.
You'll be a brand new babe on Saturday.
Cute.
And then, okay, let's do Sunday, March 23rd. This is the last day of this podcast for the day. We have 4:25 a.m. Moon quincunx Jupiter. We don't love it.
Don't love it.
This feels like I have too much shit to get on in my day. You have told me too much.
I was gonna say, and like Gemini is the one who's like,
and the moon is like, no, that doesn't go on my list.
Shorten the to-do list. Shorten the to-do list.
I need you to get real right now. And so, we just kind of wake up with that. We're like probably just feeling overwhelmed with like the things that we need to do. Yeah. And there's an anxiety around that too, because the moon in Capricorn knows exactly what it needs to do in the day. And you are throwing too many things at it.
Exactly. Yep. and just throwing like a lot of irrelevant information. And Capricorn knows it's irrelevant, but Gemini doesn't always know it's irrelevant. That's why Capricorn sometimes has a hard time taking Gemini seriously.
That's real.
But yeah, so that's how we're starting the day. It's going to be 4:25 in the morning. By 10 a.m. there's a slightly more pleasant moon in Capricorn, quintile, Neptune and Pisces.
And I like that.
Look, I've said it in like 4 other episodes. Yeah. I love when Capricorn and Pisces get together. I think that they're awesome together. Just a great way to bring bring your visions into reality. Yeah,
there's just like some sort of
and with the quintile, it's like creatively thinking about how to do so, right? Or like kind of an unusual way. And that's going to be 10 a.m. So that's going to be kind of for us on the West Coast. That's kind of going to be influencing the start of our day. It's definitely going to be a little bit more into the middle of the day for the East Coasters.
12:30 p.m. This is the big aspect for the day. We have the Sun in Aries sextile Pluto in Aquarius. So, there's more information. There's a depth about our new Aries vision.
I kind of like this one too. Yeah, I don't hate Sunday so far.
I think it's passionate.
Yeah.
it's like passionate and social. There is a social aspect to this. So I think that, you know, for all of the ways that Pluto can be very intense and, you know, about depth and secrets and all sorts of stuff, I like it with Aries, and I would prefer it to be in air signs and fire signs.
And I think they're collaborative. I think Aries and Aquarius can be really collaborative. I think there can be, a social collaborative sense.
Yeah, I mean, the sun is so exalted in Aries.
Yeah, and just full of ideas, pregnant with ideas. And Pluto and Aquarius is like, oh, well, we got the manpower to do that.
Yeah.
So.
And then the rest of the day isn't awful.
No.
But we do have...
It's a little bit more of that dodgeball sense, a little bit.
But yeah, there's a little bit of like pings, like a ping pong ball. 4:22 p.m. We do have the moon in Capricorn opposite Mars in Cancer. Now, this is fascinating to me because, you know, the moon is in its fall. No, it's in its detriment. It's in its detriment. Sorry. Yep. Moon is in its detriment opposite Mars in its detriment.
Yep.
No, in its fall.
In its fall, yeah.
So they are in this like horrible reception moment where they're like, I want what you have. And like, I want what you have. Like, how do I get that?
Yeah, this town ain't big enough for the two of us kind of energy.
And you know, this also is a cranky aspect. It's an opposition. This is feeling, you know, you have some sort of awareness of the things that you don't have.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And
we're talking about stuff with like home versus like career or like your outer self, right?
Yeah. This is work life versus home.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's cardinal, so it sucks. Yeah, you're right. It does kind of suck. Like this is a cardinal opposition of. It's a very like grass is greener on the other side kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's not. It's just not awesome. They're both
maybe you're at work and you want to be home, or maybe you're at home and unemployed and you wish you had a job.
Yeah.
You know,
but I think if like you use a lot of awareness around what's coming up for you emotionally in this moment, there's a reception that can happen with the moon receiving. Mars receiving that moon aspect, where all of a sudden it can act to its benefit, being in exaltation.
Yep.
There's something like you have to be so aware. I am cranky. Cool. Step 1. You have named the feeling.
You have named the feeling.
Step 2, what can I do about it?
Right.
Cool. 3, am I overreacting here? Big with the opposition.
And what's great is with moon in Capricorn, being able to walk yourself through these steps is going to be easier than when the moon is elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
Because Capricorn is like, let's do this methodically. Let's do this thoroughly. Let's do this correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think so long as we just kind of keep this kind of awareness that potentially this could be a productive opposition for all things taken in consideration. And then we have some ouchy things. We have moon in Capricorn square Chiron and Aries. We don't love that. I almost feel like it feels like I'm all alone and I can't get anyone to help me or be with me. You know, I feel
it's very much like if I want to get this done, I just got to do it myself.
Yeah, it feels kind of lonely.
It's cardinal again.
For all of the ways that I have asked or needed your help, you don't recognize it, and now I have to do this all
on my own.
All my own. It's just lonely. Yeah, lonely. So One is the loneliest number here. You know, but it's like I also got to get it done.
Yeah.
Like Sunday feels...
And that's the thing that sucks for moon and Capricorn, right? Is like you can feel lonely, you can feel sad, you can feel like no one's going to help you.
You got to get it done
but anyways. You're still going to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunday just feels so... Besides that, so like potentially social aspect, of the sun in Aries with Pluto earlier in the day, then it just kind of feels like very somber.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because like we were saying before, there's a lot of these more minor aspects happening, the quintile and the
squares and
the squares,
and then it'll sextile its ruler and Saturn and Pisces and
and so I'm seeing like a lot more like dodgeball here. And the thing is Capricorn is so great at delegating tasks, right? That like it's gonna do well with the dodging and with the kind of organizing all of the information that it's receiving.
But
it's kind of tired. Like, man, I wish I didn't have to do this.
Yeah, I think he's kind of exhausted in Capricorn. He's just like, I'm a workhorse. I have been a workhorse. I'm doing
and nobody
so much.
Fucking helps me.
Yeah.
And when everything gets done correctly, I don't get any credit for it.
Yeah.
But if something goes wrong, I'll take the blame. You know, it's very much those kind of vibes, especially with like that sextile to Saturn.
Yeah. Late night, though, the last aspect after the moon in Capricorn sextiles that Saturn and Pisces. So again, that's kind of like the Eeyore. Like that, it's not a reality check. This is just the reality.
Yeah.
We're here now.
Acceptance. We've reached the acceptance point.
It's giving the color gray.
Yeah.
Sometimes my synesthesia like really pops out and like I'll see aspects.
It's giving gray.
It's giving like Eeyore. It's giving gray. And it's just like, well, I guess this is where we're at. And almost like it's so stable that's like depressing.
Yeah.
Like I need this.
I think what's sad when you think of melancholy with Capricorn, it's very much like the never let them see you cry kind of vibe. So it's very much like I have to be like a you know, a statue, right? A gray marble statue.
Yeah. It does feel quite melancholic. These are winter signs.
Yeah.
Not awesome. And then Moon in Capricorn trine Uranus and Taurus at the end of the night, 10:17 p.m.
It's fine, I guess.
Wow.
It's fine, I guess.
I mean, there's something like, it's like almost like after this kind of sobering, isolating kind of mood or feeling that we've been in for Sunday, like all of a sudden a hit of inspiration or a like tap of like,
it feels like a tap, and it's also like 2 earth signs, so it's this very grounded
and something about like security.
Yeah, like it's like, oh, like I can take all of this somber and I can apply it to kind of putting in the groundwork for something that'll bring me more stability, which is nice. Like it's necessary, right?
It's not terrible,
but it's not, you know, we're not bringing you any like good tidings of excitement or ease. It's just like a very grounded, like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is like how I can kind of make the best of my resources right now.
Ideas can flow around how to be more secure and stable. Yeah. So not terrible, but all things considered about this week, Thunder.
It's not going to be a disaster on Sunday night.
No. It's kind of sleepy too. So just go to bed early. Like try to really get your wits about you for Sunday, because we know that this week is not great. No. And
distinctly the first half of the week is going to be worse. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be rough.
And I think it's worth noting in our wrap up too, is that this is the week in which we do not have an eclipse, that we are watching pieces fall, that we are picking up the pieces of things that were exploded. Yeah. You know, trying to kind of make some sense of what has happened in the previous week. And then in this next week, when we come back, we will be again inside of a new moon eclipse, which will have us kind of thrust into the future. So there's something liminal and cranky about this space.
Liminal is a great word for it, because it's, again, like we said at the beginning of the episode, this is a time where things are happening to you. I really wouldn't recommend doing a lot of manifestation work at this time. We're still like, we're in eclipse season here.
Yeah, just stay clear of that.
Yeah.
This is a time for contemplation and meditation.
Yeah, meditation is kind of where you want to go as far as like magic or spirituality work. Just meditation, practicing letting things move through you. And just, I think journaling is great for eclipse season. Yeah. Just so that you know where you're at, so that once pieces kind of or like once the dust settles, you can kind of look back and look at what you were thinking about, what you were contemplating about, what was happening to you, and then you can kind of make sense of that once the dust settles.
Yeah. We have two competing energies that are definitely happening too, that kind of goes into the like feeling pulled in two different directions or feeling kind of confused about things, is because we have so much Aries energy and we have all of this Pisces energy that's trying to wrap up these old things. And so again, it's kind of like running in place in water. Like you can't really quite go forward, or maybe you make a little bit of effort forward and then you kind of feel thwarted and a little bit more.
Yeah, because also like we have all this retrograde crap happening still.
It's not.
We've got this out of bounds Mars happening. It's just
not my favorite week.
It's not the best week. It's not, and it's not supposed to be your favorite week, right? It's eclipse season. We're going through a transition period.
Yep.
Before we get birthed out on the other end of this eclipse season. So that's the biggest thing, is be gentle with yourself, practice self-care. Do not try to manifest. Do not try to charge your crystals. Just journal, meditate, rest, and just be ready to receive whatever information is coming at you this week, for sure. Yep.
Well, I think we can end there.
That about does it. Good luck.
Reminder, we're seeing clients. You can reach out to us. There is an end card that has our information. And take good care of yourself.
Yeah. Take care of yourself. Pay attention to where the moon is hitting different parts of your chart this week. That's pretty much it.
And breathe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck. Godspeed. Oh God.
that week more.
It doesn't. I'm so not excited.